Good morning. I just had to hop on here. I've already had a couple of client calls this morning, and default settings or defaults came up a couple of times in those client calls. What do I mean by default settings? In this particular case, I would say a default setting is I am safe or I am not safe. Another default setting could be I am worthy or I don't feel worthy. I belong, or I don't belong anywhere. Now, these default settings are crucial to how we function and move through our everyday life. If we live and function from a place of I am safe, the choices that we make, what we're willing to do in those choices, how we're willing to step outside our comfort zone will vary greatly from a person who their default setting is at I am unsafe. The person who feels unsafe are going to make choices that are more limited, that are more, as you could say, within the box. They're going to be choices that tend to keep them invisible, tend to keep them small, but yet help them to feel more safe than if they were to take larger risks. Where somebody who has a default setting of I am safe in new situations, I am safe taking things to the next level, I am safe even when I step outside my comfort zone, they're going to make changes in their life easier. They're going to try new things. They're going to go out and meet new people. They are going to take more risks in their career, their business, and their relationships. And as you can see, where that leads us throughout the day can be very different. Much like, hey Cal, hey Stormy, much like a default setting of I am worthy. If I feel worthy, then the choices that I make, certainly as an entrepreneur, are going to be different than I don't feel worthy. I am the first person as an entrepreneur to say when I first went into business, I did not feel worthy. I had lots of doubts about my worth. I felt, why should somebody come to me as a new doctor when there are a lot of people, even people I graduated with, who I came to the conclusion were doing the doctoring so much better than me. And that just led to a cycle of not feeling worthy. What else did it lead to in my business? Pricing myself really low because I thought, well, if I can at least get them through the door and get some money coming in, that's better than none. So I didn't value myself. I didn't value my service. And somehow, I expected other people to do the same. Needless to say, my first months and years in business were much more challenging because I did not feel worthy. As my worth and my value in myself increased, it also increased in my services and also increased in the consistency of results that people achieved, because I felt good about what I do and confident about what I do and could communicate that to others. Some of the other ways that not feeling worthy can show up in our life might be, again, playing small. You don't want to come across as an expert, even when your education and experience very much says you are, in fact, an expert. A lot of things can come into play there. Some of the conversations I had this morning was, well, I don't want to seem like I'm better than somebody else, or I'm not even sure if I can say to myself that I'm an expert or that I am better than what I even imagined I was. A lot of old default settings coming into play there. Things that we made decisions about when we were kids often that we're not even aware are still at play today. So why do I bring up default settings? I bring up default settings. Let me see. Stormy is saying something. Product pricing is connected to our sense of self-worth. She says, I never thought of this before. Good morning, Scott. Welcome. Yes, product pricing is connected to our sense of self-worth, because you may price a service or product that you are offering at something that seems to be in line with standard prices or industry standards. And you might be wondering why people aren't purchasing your products. If you don't feel worthy in that price and you don't feel like you have enough self-worth for that price, the likelihood of somebody purchasing at that price is, well, can be pretty slim. We really want to take the time to align our level of self-worth and the price and service that we are offering. So as I was saying, we want to be aware of our default settings. Being aware, Scott's #1 default, I accept ease in every area of my life. Yes, I love that default setting. That's another great example. There are beliefs out there or default settings that say, unless it's hard, unless it's challenging, unless we have to put a lot of effort into it, then it's not worth it. It doesn't have value. Well, I'm here to call bullshit on that. We can bring ease into our life and it can still be valuable. These are old default settings. It's time to update them. One of mine, I attract ease into every area of my life. I start off most of my days with that. This morning I started off with I am safe. The reason it's important to update our default settings is because we can be living a default setting like I am not worthy, I am not loved, I don't belong, and not even be aware of how it impacts our life. I woke up this morning and I was in a mood. Immediately, I went to the place of reminding myself and embodying I am safe. I know when I am safe, I'm going to show up in my day differently. I'm going to show up in my life differently. I'm going to show up for clients differently. So before I even got out of bed, I spent a good 20 minutes in meditation with intention of embodying I am safe. To me, that's a default setting I want engaged all the time. Now, why is this so important? Years ago, I would have woken up in the same or similar mood, and what I would have gotten up saying was, oh, today's one of those days, I'm in a mood. Don't know where it came from. I don't know what's going on. There doesn't seem to be any obvious reason that I'm in this mood or I'm feeling this way, and I've just got to push through. I've just got to roll with it. I've just got to do my best. And that mood may have stayed with me for hours or even days, and I just would have done my best to live through it. Well, now, because I'm aware of those default settings, those old beliefs, I can take steps, intentional steps, to change those default settings. So the first step, what are your default settings? What are your old beliefs? Which ones are working? Maybe that you're not even aware of. Pay attention to the thoughts and feelings that you're having as you're moving through your day, because one of the first steps is becoming aware of it. The second is deciding that you're going to change your default settings. And you can do that with intention, you can do it with a visualization, you can do it with meditation. I use all three of those things. I did that this morning. And it can be pretty simple. I'm not talking hours of meditation. This morning I did about 20 minutes, and I would describe it more as a combination of intention, of a mantra, of a visualization before I got out of bed. It can be very, very simple. Scheduling time in your day to check in, to say, okay, how am I doing? What default settings might be at play here? Gives you a way to acknowledge yourself, communicate with yourself, have a relationship with yourself. So that way those default settings or old beliefs are not running rampant. And then putting that time in your schedule every day, so that way you can check in to see how you're doing. If you've got questions, comments, I would love to hear what you think, whether it's live or you're watching this later. feel free to post. I will get back to you. If you want to know how I can support you in changing your own default settings, shoot me a direct message and I will get back to you. Let's see, Scott's saying, yes, you can also do it directly with me in a healing process to remove blocks. And I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone who wants to hear about how we can do that directly. Thank you for that, Scott, because I have a number of ways. I have right now an offer 100 sessions in 100 days free, because I want to connect with people around the country. That would absolutely be a way we can address some of these default settings or old beliefs, remove these blocks. And I also have some group healing sessions, and of course I work with people privately. So if you want to know more about that, post questions, comments, shoot me a message, and I'd love to connect with you, love to hear what you think about this. And before we wrap up, I'm sending y'all some good support or default settings. You are worthy, you are enough, you do belong, you are safe, you are loved. All right, I'm sending love and health and ease in your transformation until we connect again. I'll talk to you later. Bye.